In order to analyze this study case, we will present McCarthy's theory in his text, The Philosophy of AI and the AI of Philosophy, in which McCarthy gives a rather large list of philosophical and scientific presuppositions required for an AI. Among them, there are a few particularly relevant to our dilemma. One such presupposition is the compatibility of determinism and free will, 2006. In short, it refers to the fact that even though a logical robot is a deterministic machine, it must consider its choices and the consequences of them. If this is true, then it must also have a sort of free will. An example he gives of deterministic free will goes as follows. An action has two stages. In the first stage, the choices and their consequences are calculated, and in the second, the action with the best consequences is chosen. The free will occurs at the first stage, ends, as the choices have been analyzed, but the action hasn't been decided or performed. McCarthy, 2006. For our case, this means that a self-driving car utilizing a true AI in case of an accident, as in one in the MIT's moral machine, would analyze the consequences of each action and, with free will, choose the action with results in the consequences which it regards as best. In this case, would the best consequences be decided in the spot by the AI using common sense, or should a set of ethical laws be decided on by the owners, programmers, or government? Added to that, the author as well cares to describe that humans possess a certain level of common sense, such as innate knowledge, reasoning capabilities, and certain action-consequence comprehension, which can be developed as a person in itself. The current situation is trying to embed this certain kind of sense inside the AI, but not with a complete success. McCarthy explains that so far there have been a few important things implemented into AI, mainly focused on letting it elaborate its own theories, beliefs, and a reasoning of its own.
McCarthy also explains that AI appeals to certain philosophical problems because it could eventually approach them satisfactorily. However, if the AI wants to evolve into a humane state, some of these philosophical inquiries would need to be solved. This is relative, though, to the way developers may think is the common sense they believe in. The question in itself is if it will ever be possible to let the machine gain the common sense of man, allowing it to understand the problem to then solve it. Unfortunately, some of these complications may arise in the complexity of the development, but as we learn more from philosophy and technology, AI learns from this common sense we've so hard tried to achieve. The term artificial intelligence was coined after the mathematician Alan Turing in 1950, whose work determined the future of computers. After World War II and the creation of the Enigma machine, Turing posed a question that has had a tremendous impact on our moral and ethical frameworks through the development of machines. Are machines able to think? 6 years later, in the Conference of Dartmouth, the scientists John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, and Claude Shannon came to the understanding that artificial intelligence is the science and ingenuity of making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computer programs. AI as a whole is a science in the works, which means that there are still many hurdles along the way. Scientists and philosophers are constantly concerned about the moral and ethical implications of such technologies. Should machines adopt a deontological or utilitarian approach? It's one of the many questions that they ask themselves.
Examples include the application of the trolley problem in vehicle programming. This isn't a massive problem yet, but the lack of progress has already affected the lives of several. The development of AI is shaping the present and the future of our society. Humans are developing systems that are able to replicate tasks and thinking patterns of a human, even exceeding our own capacities. We're entering an era where artificial intelligence is becoming capable of doing a variety of things we once thought they were impossible for a system to accomplish. The creation of AI capable of replacing human drivers has been one of the main objectives and challenges of the companies whose business models rely heavily on the use of vehicles, such as designing of vehicles, ride-hailing, and retailing. The most notable ones are Tesla, Amazon, Audi, Toyota, Baidu, BMW, Uber, and Cisco. As the total investment, the actual results have been higher than any other competing companies, especially Uber, as this company has been testing the use of AI in real roads, not only on closed areas. Uber is a private taxi company in which anyone with a car can apply for. Uber has been adopting and exploring with their cars in driverless arenas. In a particular case, there was a woman who was passenger of a self-driving car and was driving in the dark. Another woman was crossing an unlighted section of the street, not giving enough time for the driver to react. Unfortunately, the car mistook the woman for a log and kept going forward instead of stopping. While the accident might make self-driving cars bad, only 6 fatal crashes involving them have ever been occurred in USA compared to the 3,000 motor accidents the same year. Even then, it still brings attention at the ethical dilemmas AI developers are being forced to consider in their development of these technologies.
These choices will show your preferences in what you saved or killed during the questions, taking for example, if you choose to save more women than men or save them as equals. This test is an example of how there are many paths that the car could take at any given situation, but the bigger question is to understand who is accountable for deciding what decision-making framework should the car adopt. Moreover, according to IBM AI developers in 2019, AI is supposed to be designed in accordance to the principles and values of the community it's being made for, not the programmers themselves. The conclusions drawn from these studies, research projects, and think tanks will determine the direction and principles of future artificial intelligence programs are based on, which will in turn have a massive impact on our society as our moral and ethical concerns will be extended to devices beyond our own decision-making processes. Understanding such challenges is imperative as these technologies will likely be present in all but very few aspects of our future lives. Everything from transportation to business to the sentencing of criminals will incorporate IA in varying extents. How terrible would it be for a car to sacrifice the love of one person against the life of 5? Or the other way around? As humans, we already struggle with such dilemmas. Therefore, it is essential to place much effort and attention on assuring the development of these technologies is being carefully considered from an ethical and morally accepted standpoint.